Given f of x equals x squared minus 2. Part A says compute the average rate of change from 1 to 2. So we're going to look for this average rate of change from 1 to 2, and that 1 to 2 are my x values. So when I look at this graph to the right here, this graph is the graph of f of x equals x squared minus 2. And what we're going to do here is we're actually just going to look at the average rate of change, and that simply is looking at, hey, how is this thing increasing? So when I think of finding the way this increase works is I need to know what these 2 points are. So I know this point here is 1, -1. And I know that this point here is 2, 2. So to find the average rate of change, I'm going to have to take, I call this M, and I'm going to have to take y2 minus y1. So it's going to be 2 minus -1 over 2 minus 1. Okay, so it really comes down to the change in y over the change in x. And that's what we call slope, and that's why I wrote an M here. But what is it the slope of? It's actually the slope of the secant line. And a secant line is where a line that crosses my graph in 2 spots. Okay, that's called a secant line. So this here is then going to be 3 on top, and then on the bottom, I'm going to get 1. So my slope is actually 3. Now, what I did here is I'm not going to calculate these for all of these by hand. A lot of them I'm actually going to do them by hand, but I'm just going to do it really quickly. So that's the first one there. So that's how we find it. So the slope of this line is 3, is what it's saying there. So now what we're going to do is we're going to look at number II here, which is this one down here. And we're going to go from 1 to 1.5. One more thing I want to say before I move on is remember how to find these points here. If you're not quite sure, all I did was plug in for this first one here, this 2, 2, I plugged in 2 for x. And that's going to be 2 squared, which is 4, minus 2 is 2. So that's where these y values for these points came in. So anyways, moving to the next one here. Now we're going to go from 1 to 1.5. I already plotted the point here. And the value of that point is going to be 1.5, comma 0.25. So that's going to be that point. And I'm just going to think of another line there from there to there. And I'm going to find that slope. So for this one here, this one's going to be M equals 2.5. So that tells me I went from 3 to 2.5. Now I'm going to do this from 1 to 0.1. So that's going to be a lot smaller. That's going to be way down here somewhere, very close to the 1, if you think about the point. So that's going to give us, and that's going to be, M equals 2.01. And now to do 1.001, that's going to be M equals 2.001. So as you can see, as these numbers here get closer to 1, it looks like we're getting closer to 2. And remember, they call these lines where they intersect the graph in more than one, in 2 spots, I should say. They call that a secant line. So part 5 says, what do you think is happening to the slope of the secant line? It's decreasing. We could say it's decreasing. That's what we can say about the slope of the secant line, because it is. It's going from 3 to 2.5 to 2.01 to 2.001. That's still a decrease. And it says, what number is it getting closer to? And I would say m is getting closer to 2. So that's this problem here.